Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. We now move on to the next segment where we get to have a quick look at what the papers have for us this 21st day of September 2022. We're still using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. I start you off with Daily Nation. Let me just show you how the front page is looking like this morning. There we go. Quite a number of stories have been captured here on the front page. We start with the story here on the header. Queries over 55 billion Kenya shillings spent in the last days of President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration. And the question remains, where did the money go? They go on to say that members of parliament are raising questions regarding the colossal amounts of money allocated to various government ministries and agencies just days to the end of President Uhuru Kenyatta's term, at a time when the country is facing huge foreign debt and food as well as a fuel subsidy crisis. This is a story that has been covered on page 2 and 3 of this particular daily. You can go ahead and just grab a copy to get to read more of the details that have been captured in this particular story. Elsewhere, another question, just how much did the government spend on the maize subsidy? 1 billion is the figure that is being estimated per various estimates, but there could be some loose change on top of this 1 billion. That is a story that has also been covered here on this particular daily on doubts over maize flour subsidy with cost delay payments formulas still looming. In brief, they talk of 7 billion, which is the amount that was spent on the maize flour subsidy program that ended on the 20th of August. And this is according to President William Ruto. Again, we said we need to get used to the fact that he's president and not Deputy President William Ruto. So that has been captured there. Still on matters agriculture, subsidized fertilizer capped at 100 bags per farmer. So the Ruto government will spend 3.5 billion Kenya shillings to subsidize the cost of 1.4 million 50 kg bags of fertilizers. But on the flip side, farmers will only be allowed to buy a maximum of 100 bags just to ensure that this particular subsidy benefits as many farmers as it possibly can. That story has also been covered here on the back page of the Daily Nation. Another story concerning drought has also been covered here on the front page of the Daily Nation. With rains failing, the country experts continue to warn that some 4.3 million Kenyans across the country will require food rations in the month of October. But then again, the question still remains, where will the money come from to ensure these rations get to this an estimated 4.3 million Kenyans who might face starvation due to the failing rains as per the weatherman. Moving on to some matters concerning health, Jitters in Uganda as they declare the first case of Ebola since 2019. At present, there is no licensed medication to prevent or treat the disease, although a range of experimental drugs are already being developed and thousands have been vaccinated in the Democratic Republic of Congo and neighboring countries. But as far as Uganda goes, so far just that one death has been reported. Coming to the main read on the front page of the Daily Nation, how Raila Odinga lost. So they go on to say, basking in the false promise of victory. Journalists. Captions. All right. So, basking in the false promise of victory, betrayed by lieutenants in his traditional bastions, suffering the curse of false incumbency, labeled a state project by William Ruto, and running a disorganized agents system, Raila Odinga was flying blind on the August 9th general elections, and consequently, devastating consequences are what he has been experiencing so far. They go on to give on different angles as to how they have captured this story. Number one, looking at how almost it didn't count, looking at the change agents, the curse of incumbency, supremacy battles as well. So that is the front page of the Daily Nation for you this morning. Coming to the Star newspaper, again, just for you to have a quick look at how it is looking like this morning. There we go. Starting with this story here on the header, children with cancer to get more chemo session. This is good news as far as matters to do with health go, and especially so for children who are facing cancer, with more sessions being allocated for them. Coming to the main read, headache for Ruto as MPs ask for more money. So taxpayers will require to foot an extra 10 billion Kenya shillings to fund the additional perks that members of parliament are asking for, and especially when it comes to some of these allowances. And one that is really a thorn is in regards to that about sitting allowances. But the push for welfare means an additional 1.2 billion Kenya shillings annually and 6 billion for the 5 years that they will be in office. So that is definitely a conversation that has stirred up quite the reaction across the social and mainstream media in regards to this particular ask by members of parliament for more monies to be allocated to them. Chebukati takes a break after grueling polls. Yes, this is Chebukati pictured therein. He takes a break, enjoying some golfing, away from the harshness that he had experienced with the nation, considering this past period that we have just come out of the general elections. So those are majorly the two stories that have been featured here. Remember, we're having a conversation revolving around the International Day of Peace in just a moment. But before we get to do that, let me just take you through the front page of the People's Daily. Again, not many stories have been captured on this particular daily, but the main read is concerning the state having spent 54 billion on the eve of the polls. This is as per the MPs. Again, the story concerning 3.5 billion Kenya shillings fertilizer subsidy has found its way here. Agriculture officials say the commodity already required, and the commodity already required for farmers to access it in the stores in the regions. All these are put in place to ensure to bring down the cost of living and production, consequently, for farmers. Other stories just concerning the upper house bonding session, captured here on the front page of the People Daily. The Standard newspaper, hold on, it is right here. There we go. The Standard newspaper, CBK boss shocking revelation, as he told MPs that the Goldenberg-like scheme was hashed by some rogue banks during the heated political season that led to the shilling slump in historic lows. So those are briefly just some of the stories that have been captured on the different dailies this morning. We do believe you are best positioned now to grab whichever daily best resonates with you. That brings us to a close of In the Headlines. We take a very quick commercial break, but we'll be back to continue with the next segment all about the International Day of Peace. Do stay with us.